and I will, in fact, intervene if it goes beyond. Next, I'd like to call, of course, now I'm starting to call people I also asked to be here, Joseph Arruda from Save Bristol Harbor.
Thank you, Senator Levesque.
Good to see you, sir.
Thank you. First of all, I'd like to address Representative Felag's question about writing our senators and senatorial involvement.
Well, first I want to say that it's Senator Felag,
Senator,
Walter Felag,
excuse me,
yes,
excuse me.
and I know he won't take any umbrage with it, but
No.
Go ahead.
So, in response to Senator Felag's question, Save Bristol Harbor has written and engaged both Senator Reid and White House as well as FERC, and has invited them to take a tour of the 26-mile transit path of the LNG ship, so that they may see firsthand the decision that they're talking about. In addition, Save the Bay has teamed up. Yes, it is on. It's just not close enough. Also, Save the Bay, in conjunction with Save Bristol Harbor, have teamed up and offered the Aletta Morris, a research vessel of Save the Bay, for FERC and our senators to take that tour. Secondly, Save Bristol Harbor is not opposed to Weaver's Cove Energy, Hess, nor are we opposed to LNG. We are opposed to the siting of the facility in Mount Hope Bay and using 26 miles of our waterway to do so. With many of our concerns about the proposed facility and berthing station that reflect irreversible damage that the project will do to our environment, we're also very concerned about the safety of our residents, access to our waterways, and the quality of life issues that will be negatively impacted by the facility. This afternoon, I'd like to take a few minutes to discuss those concerns as they relate to Rhode Island's economic future, which we believe is inexorably tied to the natural resources and quality of life. The first issue is bridge clearance, and thank you very much, Kelly, for getting that up, of the LNG tankers. As shown in our LNG slide, just 5 feet of clearance would separate the top of a 130-foot high LNG tanker and the Mount Hope Bridge at center point. Center point is the key word. To either side of the bridge's center, the height shrinks from 135 to 126.7 feet. If we have strong winds, choppy waters, or human error caused by the LNG tanker, to pitch, roll, or drift slightly off course, the likelihood of a collision between the tanker and the bridge increases significantly. Clearly, the dimensional constraints are too severe and leave no margin for error. An LNG tanker with the Mount Hope Bridge would cause severe damage and would result in extended bridge closure. This is not a hypothetical fear. In 1975, a vessel much smaller than an LNG tanker collided with the Mount Hope Bridge, rendering the key highway between Aquidneck Island and East Bay impassable for more than a year. It is not unreasonable to assume that a collision between the Mount Hope Bridge and a much larger LNG tanker would be even more catastrophic and result in significant travel headaches for many Rhode Islanders, as well as tourists. As relates to bridges, you're surely aware closure of the bridges as the LNG tanker passes beneath them would severely disrupt the flow of traffic along East Bay, especially for the many citizens who traverse the bridges daily for continuing to work and shopping and dining establishments. The Aquidneck Island Planning Commission's traffic study indicated significantly longer delays than the study cited by Gordon Scherer of Weaver's Cove Energy at the Senate Task Force meeting on March 9th. A second issue we wish to highlight is the supposed energy savings to consumers that may arise from the project. At the Senate Task Force meeting, Mr. Scherer first claimed that the cost savings of the average Rhode Island citizen would enjoy 10%, but then later said it would be 5%, and we'd like to know as citizens which is it. Of course, he cannot say with any certainty because the prices of energy as well as electricity are not and will never be controlled by Weaver's Cove Energy or Hess. Any numbers he provides are speculative. Therefore, we would be highly skeptical of any numbers that Weaver's Cove Hess provides relating to lower energy costs, given that he has a large personal stake in making this project sound enticing to the public and to this task force. For argument's sake, even if we accept his claim that the project would bring $125 million in energy savings annually to New Englanders, the numbers don't sound very impressive when they are divided amongst all the households in the 6 states that will share this benefit. If we do some simple calculations, the benefits for each household from this project is about $35 a year or $3 a month. Such savings we could get through conservation and efficiency in our homes. Regarding environmental impacts, I'm not going to go into the winter flounder. I think that's been discussed rather heavily, and I think we can save time there. But concerning the proposed pipe-in-pipe Cryogenic pipeline technology for transporting LNG, as stated by Weavers Cove's representative at the Bristol Town Council meeting earlier this month, it is unproven technology for the length of the proposed pipeline and the extreme temperatures of the liquefied natural gas that it would carry. Thus, Weavers Cove proposes to use Mont Hope Bay as a test case for this PIP technology. Given this fact, it is reasonable to assume that the regular inspection and possible repair to this buried pipeline would necessitate frequent maintenance dredging, thereby increasing sediment resuspension carrying toxic materials. As another long-lasting technological issue, we are concerned that Weavers Cove has not made any commitment in writing or in any of their presentations to cover the cost of decommissioning this LNG facility due to eventual obsolescence. We do not want Rhode Island taxpayers to be left with a rusting, abandoned facility that could become a dangerous blight within Mont Hope Bay for generations to come once Weavers Cove abandons it, as they surely will in time. We should not allow this to happen. Relating to accidents and deaths from LNG facility operations, Mr. Ted Garrick and Mr. Shearer have previously misled the committee and the public by ignoring and downplaying historic events when they claim that not a single member of the general public has been injured in an accident involving LNG in the past 60 years. FERC records clearly that there have been at least 4 major LNG accidents with deaths resulting over the past 66 years. If we add 6 years onto his timeline, it increases the numbers tremendously. Triggering a second more than the first one, most recently in 2004 in Algeria, a steam boiler blew up, triggering a second more massive vapor cloud, resulting in 27 people killed and 56 wounded. This goes on and on. Maryland, Staten Island, New York, 73, 1944, Cleveland, Ohio, the most devastating disaster on record, occurred when a tank failed and spilled its contents into the street and the storm sewer system. The resulting explosion and fire killed 128 people. Since the accident occurred over 66 years ago, it was conveniently omitted from the 60-year time framed and quoted by Weavers Cove. Mr. Garrick and Mr. Shearer, we're not counting dock workers or construction people as members of the general population in the claims, yet are these lives not as valuable as the members of the other general population? And who is to say that such a densely populated area as Fall River, the next LNG-related accident, might not affect more members and the general public as well as workers? And I believe you have a document showing all of the record of the accidents. Members of Save Bristol Harbor, through their extensive research into LNG issues, discovered that an international organization, the Society of International Gas Tanker and Terminal Operators, or SIGTO, has set reasonable safety protocols for the siting of LNG facilities. In his testimony last week, Mr. Shearer dismissed this organization's well-respected work as mere guidelines. However, I'd like to read at least 5 of these, and I'll do this quickly. Number 1, LNG ports must be located where LNG vapors from a spill or release cannot affect civilians. I don't think so. LNG berths must be far from the ship transit fairway, since all other vessels must be considered an ignition source. Again, I don't think so. LNG ports must be located where they do not conflict with other waterway uses now and in the future. Long, narrow inland waterways are to be avoided due to greater navigation risk. Human error potential always exists, so it must be taken into consideration when selecting and designing an LNG port. Clearly, the Weavers Cove proposal violates all of these guidelines. The only possible justification for doing so was provided at the Bristol Town Council meeting, where other options were discussed but rejected due to profit margin. However, given the vast profits that they stand to make for this project, we don't accept this as a reasonable excuse for arrogant dismissal of international standards and for the responsibility for placing LNG facilities, especially in highly populated areas like Rhode Island. They also focus extensively on job creation and economic benefits. He claimed the project would bring hundreds of jobs to Rhode Island. However, we did not, and he did not, likely cannot, provide any guarantee these jobs will actually go to Rhode Islanders. It is more unreasonable to assume, as it would be good business practice, to bring skilled workers in from around the world who have firsthand experience at constructing LNG facilities before they would hire local unemployed Rhode Islanders. In any case, the jobs would be temporary. In addition to highly probable that the LNG project will result in a net decrease in jobs over the long term, as fisheries, tourism, recreational businesses will be negatively impacted by the berthing station, tanker transit, and relating dredging. As tempting as it may be, we should be highly skeptical of Mr. Shearer's rhetoric, and again, his rhetoric, not his person, about the remote possibility of job creation as a ploy to distract us from the many, many risks and concerns associated with their plan. We believe, truly believe, that Rhode Island's future economic success can and will and largely be based on maintaining our natural resources and expanding investment in jobs for locally generated renewable energy.